welcome to When Women Preach. This podcast exists to empower API and Latina women faith leaders. My name is Diana Shing, and I am here with co-founder and executive director of Isaac, Hertig. And our guest today is Sungshim Loppnow. Sungshim began her journey as a pastoral counselor in Korea in 1996 and arrived in America in 1999 to study her MFT at Fuller. Since then, she has continued to work as a psychotherapist, integrating her training as a spiritual director. She enriches the realms of therapy and spiritual growth with a distinctive blend of scriptural wisdom, cutting-edge neuroscience, and trauma-informed care. As a developer of the Immanuel Journaling process, she co-authored the book Joyful Journey. Sungshim is committed to enriching the lives of individuals and communities through innovative and joyful practices. So welcome, Sungshim. We're so glad to have you, and we're grateful to have you join us today. I wanted to just start off by saying that you also are a graduate of Isaac's Pastoral Lab program. You graduated last year. So just would love to talk about how you work right now as a therapist at Loppnow Relationship Center and how that experience in Pastoral Lab really helped your work with clients or impacted your work with clients.
May I interrupt you 1 second? Because I should have mentioned about Diana. Diana L. Shing joined Pastoral Lab, and then she became Isaac's admin associate. And when Joanna Choi, the second podcast producer, exited from doing this work after 2 years, Diana stepped in seamlessly, and she didn't know how gifted she is on media. So I'm very blessed to have Diana, a seamless transition. So here we are. Thank you, Diana.
Thank you for that introduction. Yes, I'm happy to be here. And I just personally know Sungshim, so really happy to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, both of you. Yes, I agree with Young. I think, Diana, you are warmth and not only warm, somebody who's so organizationally skillful. Like, it's a very unique blend of both. So I'm very glad that I can be here. You asked whether my experience at Pastoral Lab, my graduation from the program, how it impacted my work with clients. Like, in your introduction of me, may need it's highlighted as I'm a psychotherapist, but my background is youth pastor back in Korea, and then I heavily participate in ministry life, like as a typical Korean woman that John was a pastor. I was one of those just bonus things that they just didn't give me a title, but then I was definitely working the ministry setting like over 20 years. So at this point, I'm not holding a title as a staff at a church, but then I have a lot of opportunities to go and teach, like Immanuel Journaling, relationship with God, like, therapeutic healing, those things. So I would say, so that's the background. So I just wanted to just highlight that. And what Pastoral Lab did to me, that was my very first experience being with Asian woman leader. I don't think I ever, I am 53, turning 54, but I don't think that I ever sat in a circle of women, Asian women, who are actively serving as a leader in the either church or the parachurch setting and other ministry that they created. And what it did to me is not so much, I will not say that my work with the client, which it definitely did, but it really ground me in who I am as a female leader. I think that even you notice that I kind of pause right there, like a leader. As a woman, it's really hard to name the reality that I'm called to lead or facilitate or teach. So I even myself was even hesitating right now, Asian female leader. And I have an outsider persona when I go places and sitting with clients or in a place where I teach. I can do it very well, but internally there's a shaky part of me, like feel like I cannot lead because I'm a woman, because I grew up in Korea in a very conservative background where my denomination back in Korea doesn't even ordain women, even now. So it just kind of like flow in my vein. But then I had like a two side of it. One is very strong. What do you mean? I can do anything as a woman, that side of it. But there's another side of me, very timid, very small. I cannot speak up. I cannot teach in front of men. Those things were constantly in me. So it's like there's a two side of me. I want to go. I want to fly as a child of God. But the another part of me, oh no, you're a woman. You cannot do this. And now, being in a context of America, like now you are Asian, like a Korean, like when I'm interacting with other main, like the whites or other setting, I always struggle inside of me feeling very shaky and small, and outside is feeling like, no, I'm overcompensating. No, I think I can do this. I have this both dynamic. But then Pastoral Lab, what it did to me is that almost I find a root. I'm not alone. There are other people who are like me, female, like Asian female leading, struggle the same thing. At the Why Young did great. Like she just put those people together, and then we share our struggle, and then it gives me a sense of more than a one identity, me. It's not an individual identity. Now I have a faces and voices that tell me this is who you are as a woman Asian leader. You got this. So when I sit with clients, not only that, I think more like in a setting that I have to present what I can offer to the world. Recently, I had a big conference with the main audience was the white folks. And then those places now I can, like, my back is straight because I feel like I have a group of people that I can lean back. I'm not the only girl here. I have this people who just support me behind me. So that is very priceless. I'm not sure whether exactly I answer your question, but I think that was the biggest gift that Pastoral Lab gave to me.
Sungshim, you are not alone. I continue to marvel at these amazingly gifted woman faith leaders, Asian American woman faith leaders. And you described it very accurately, that there's internalized sexism, racism, colonialism, all that layers is like a peeling off onion. And from my point of view, these are gifted women who there's nothing you cannot not do. And yet underneath that, I discover layers of toxic, learned self-talk. And that's the reason why we invited you to this podcast, and what you do and what I have done in the past until I was overloaded with admin tasks as an executive director that help people to minimize that kind of unhealthful, toxic self-talk based on John chapter 4. So I think the audience who are listening to this podcast, we encourage you to come and join us for this feast. Sungshim and I will be preparing for you on April 21st, right?
You're so good. You're so good at like sticking that in. And I will say, I know that Young will approach it from her own wealth of wisdom, actually lived out wisdom, how she is leading this. And also our coming from more therapeutic, trauma resolution, that's something that I study and that's what I'm passionate about and skillful. So yes, we minimize their voice, but almost what I find it helpful, and then what Pastoral Lab did as the support behind me, right? I would say it helps me to bridge the gap between these two sides of me. One is very overcompensating part of me. Like if somebody tells me that I cannot do it, oh, I don't take that. Like, who do you think you are? Like I can be very aggressive and very almost like there's nothing that I'm afraid of. So it looks like I have no fear, really. But there's, like I articulated earlier, there is a very scared little girl in me who was, like you say, young, like a lot of sexism, colonialism, all those things really like press her down. So after I kind of go react, and then even recently I had very not proud moment when I perceive some white male in a leadership, like older person, approach me, like I totally blew it. Like I just like, whoosh, like I'm like that. And then I'm visited by shame. Oh my gosh, why did I act like that? That's not the way that I want to act like, right? So it's like a two side of this internal conflict. It is really real in many of us, the strong female Asian leader. And I think whatever that we are gonna address, right, the April event, what she's saying is that she will help you guys to minimize that toxicity. But then I want to say we are aiming at the same goal. But what I find it helpful is that we just bridge the gap. Both of them have something to offer. Both of them have a wisdom for us to gain, and that we can be friends with parts of us so that we can have this more organized, harmonious. I think that's that internal state peace and joy. That's what I think it's possible, right, Young?
It is possible with God's unconditional love.
Amen.
I mean, God is loving us, but we are the one who is punishing ourselves. You know, it's one thing that some other people are, but what we can bring transformation is our choice of not letting ourselves down. That doesn't help us. That doesn't help our community. So, Sungshim, what you will bring to the table will be working very well towards reclaiming Imago Dei, that wholeness and divine image that we reflect. So that's what we will be aiming.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that we are looking forward to that. And Isaac is, just to clarify, Isaac's hosting this event where we're hosting 2 workshops with Young Lee Hertig and Sungshim Loppnow. Young will be talking about editing your negative self-talk, and Sungshim, you'll be hosting a workshop on Immanuel Journaling. So that is a great segue to our next question of, you talk about co-authoring the book Joyful Journey, where you talk about the Immanuel Journaling process. And you say that Immanuel Journaling helps people become more aware of God's compassionate presence in their life. So we'd love to hear from you. What is Immanuel Journaling, and what is the process, and what can people expect from this interactive journaling?
Okay, so I think if you ask me about Immanuel Journaling, I can go on and on and on and on. And then I kind of wanted to hear, Diana, your personal experience kind of later. I want you to chime in our conversation. So, okay. So, Immanuel Journaling, I think it's a little background will be very helpful. Like, so I attended, and then my husband was one of associate pastor at Youngnak EM ministry way back, right? And then so I interact with, so that Korean American is my main, like, what's that, audience, or my people. That's how I say. And Korean Americans are very well evolved, very well educated, kind of well off folks, and they love God. And then I noticed the one thing when I was actively involved in church ministry, my people, they spend a lot of money, and they are willing to go and tell their therapist about their really darkest secret, or like the things that they are struggling with. And then, but when we are entering into the space of interacting with God, we could call it prayer, right? When it comes to a prayer life, I find my people not being able to really tell God what's happening inside of them, especially probably the things that they are not proud of or even ashamed of. And so I was thinking, I'm a therapist, and I'm thinking, why we can say those things about ourselves and struggles to a therapist that we don't know so authentically and freely. And then why we cannot interact with God in a way that, oh my, I personally believe God is the best therapist. He's a wonderful counselor and he's a loving father. And if that is really true, why not against therapy? Because I'm a therapist. I was really struggling with this reality that what goes somewhere wrong, that we feel more safe with a therapist by paying money when God is free, quote unquote, and God can welcome all part of us. But how we cannot do that? That was my really just genuine curiosity as a therapist, because I'm a therapist. At the same time, I really believe that without spirituality, without this someone higher being, and that without that, we human have so much limitation. It'll be really hard to navigate this life, death, disease, and then unexpected things that happen to your life. We need God, right? So then to me, not that I was against the therapy, but how can we really facilitate this, like enrich? There's a rich resource that we have in our spiritual heritage. So that's where I began this journey of how can I make that happen? How can I help my people to interact God as actually best therapist? I want them to taste what it's like to be sitting in a therapy room, which is, the Thomas Keating, those people who are aware of this centering prayer, and then the monk, Thomas Keating used the word divine therapy. And so God is a divine therapist. How can I have you, Diana, and my people sit with divine therapists? And so the Immanuel Journaling was, instead of interacting with God just like only through the word of God and just only from the church setting, I wanted to sit and that as if, what would a therapist do when I share this? So it's like an interactive thing. So there was if I go into one part and then I'll pause, like therapists are known, but that's what the parents do very intuitively well, good parents. There's a concept called attunement. Attunement it's just like a invisible reality. And then when you are sitting with, let's say, Diana, you and I met, and then you give me a gift of by listening my story, or just a lot of it's nonverbal, your facial expression, your tone of voice, the timing of when you interact with me, I walk away feeling like, oh my gosh, Diana really saw me. Oh, she heard me. Oh, she really gets how hard this what I'm going through. Oh, even though I don't like myself in this state, oh, she's so glad to be with me. I felt that in my body. Oh, it seems like she's going to help me. Not that you are going to fix my problem, but you said that, oh, I'll pray for you. Oh, just, is there anything I can help you with? So those 5 things that I just named it, feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling understood. So that's another word, like feeling validated, how big of my problem is. And then somebody's glad to be with me. Even I don't feel like I'm glad to be with myself, part of me. And then that person is going to provide me any one of the practical help that they can do. So those 5 things are the actually core of this concept called attunement. When A person gives the gift of B, the gift of attunement, B will walk away feeling like, oh, I think I got this. I can do this. That sense, it's an attunement, okay? And then, but I believe God is offering the gift of attunement every moment, every breath, every emotion, every struggle that we feel. So that's why people pay therapists, and then they go in and then nothing is solved, but they walk away feeling like, feel better, and they can tackle the life. That's what's happening in the room. So to me, Immanuel Journaling is designed to meet this divine therapist. As another word is like, God is compassionately witnessing you by giving you all these elements of attunement gift. Instead of compulsively fixing you, he's not compulsively working to make you feel better right away. That's not his agenda. He sit back, but close enough, because he very respectfully give you a space, but at the same time, very compassionately see what's happening, hear what's happening inside of me, really gets how big, whatever they might. maybe part of me think that that's nothing. Why you are like timid? But God knows.
And He's the creator. And
Yeah.
God is the creator. I think you and I had similar concerns and questions. When you go to church, there's no process. And when you go to therapist, there's no spirituality or God. So that's been my quest when I first enrolled in counseling and psychology program at Yonsei in Seoul. How can any healing take place without God? So I raised that question long time ago, and I've been on a quest that then in order to really experience healing, I didn't want copycat theology. So let's find out. And that's what led me to study at a seminary. And then at a seminary, why every class takes you to dead German men, and why so many people groups are missing in theological dish. So then, what is the relationship between theology and culture? So those three areas, my master's and my PhD integrated all of that. So what I really ask question about is Western paradigm split. It's reductionistic. Split. And my quest was integrate. Let's connect the dots. So it's more like peacemaking inside out. Yes, I appreciate therapy. At the same time, that's not enough. You can get addicted to therapist. So God dwells in us through the power of the Holy Spirit, and we are not an object, we are subjects from which we can begin to journey, this healing journey that is lifelong. So just to put it mildly, I mean, is this two different women? Woman at the well, woman A and woman B. Only Jesus can transform. But I found out in this process, hey, this is possible. So I'll introduce 6 steps. Dialogical, not necessarily interpersonal, but intrapersonal dialogue that turns John 4, rich dialogue at the well, inside, intra. So wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Sungshim, just to hear kind of the process to how this Immanuel Journaling came about. And, as I have experienced learning about Immanuel Journaling and being led by Sungshim and participating in it, and I definitely see the attunement, seeing that God sees me, hears the things that no one else hears, understands me. He's glad to be with me. That was a huge one. And then he will help me. Those 5 prompts already, I feel so much better, and there's brain science behind it. That's what I loved about your book, was talking. It's not just something you made up. It's actually how your brain processes pain, so I found it to be really helpful. And Immanuel Journaling, what I say too is there's parts to it, but the part about just think about something you appreciate, bringing gratitude into the journey of God. So sometimes we're so focused on the pain, we don't think about the things we can appreciate. That's really helpful too. Part of the
That is, you are absolutely right. Since we're talking about attunement, I went over there, but you are absolutely right. Immanuel Journaling, because I think people are trying to interact with God, pray in times of desperate need and pain, and which God is so good that, he intervenes. That's what I like about God. But the brain science and then even the scriptural wisdom, it's about we need to grow our capacity to handle the pain. So that's when you're talking about the gratitude, the importance of gratitude. So, but I think just technically, like what I'm learning is it's not a gratitude from my head. It's that again, the feeling of the gratitude, receiver of God's gift, what it feels like in my body, what it is like to be the receiver of God's goodness. So in our Immanuel journaling process, definitely we encourage people to begin with a sense of appreciation, like feeling it in your body. And then especially Asian, we know that, and also Christian, we stay in our head, on travel down below our neck. And then we tend to think that that is holy. And that's what I learned back in Korea too. And it was a very recent journey that I have to really, like Young, you talking about integrate. We need to integrate our head and then below the neck. So the appreciation, why it emphasized the importance of detecting God's goodness in everyday mundane life, and then talk to God about it and be curious what God is saying back to me in the state of goodness instead of always in pain. It's because brain scientists simply saying it, your brain is negativity bias. It's not because you don't love God. I always blame myself. How come I don't have enough faith? Why I forgot my first love with God? But actually, when I learn about this simple concept, it's like the negativity in your brain is like a Velcro. It'll just really stick and then remember so that you will not go through the same mistake or pain again. But then positivity, when it is a goodness and positive things comes, they say it's like a Teflon. It doesn't stick. You need to learn to train yourself and your mind and body to marinate, savor, so that it can really like Teflon. So you have to use it enough that will stick. So I think that simple brain science also helped me to boldly encourage people to practice those interacting with God in a state of goodness and then positivity.
I cannot agree with you more, because the one thing I want to insert here is that our appreciation and gratitude is not just conditional. It is unconditional. Even when we are in the midst of storm, there's always silver lining. And I think the choice is ours to set that, am I going to let this storm throw me under the bus, or am I going to choose silver lining? There's a light underneath, and in that way, it's our choice. And the pain is a great teacher. But how we are going to respond to our pain and storm, that's up to us. It is our choice. So that's wonderful that you are integrating neuropsychology as well and helping so many people.
Our last question then is, as people attend this workshop, hear you share about Immanuel Journaling, what do you hope they leave with, that they walk away, they gain from this experience?
Yeah, okay. Obviously, they gonna have the tool and how. Because I think on our journey, you learn so much what needs to be done. Like even from church or therapist, you walk away like, then how do I do this? Like that was always just my question. Like, okay, now I know how to assess my problem. I know where it's coming from. Like just, sin, whatever the therapists say, attachment, blah, blah, blah. Like they all say those things. But always, I was just yearning for somebody give me a template. Somebody give me something, tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And so I think what they're going to walk away, for sure, they're going to have an actual tool and something that they can do something about it. So that is that, not that I hope, but they will get it. It's a guarantee. They're going to have a little hope. Oh, I think I can do something about it, right? Instead of feeling stuck. So that's a humongous gift that they're going to walk away with. But then from my personal, like what I want them to walk away with is this. I've been on this quest of healing, growth, maturity for a while. And then I think I did my share of homework. And at this point of my development and journey with God, I thought living with God, walking with God will produce this life of joy and peace. And then I want to make it into not abstract and make it into a little more nuance, less fear, or really like God saying it, do not be afraid, I am your God. Do not be alarmed. I'm your God, right? Like that, I'm with you and then I'm your God. Yes, I like it. I want to believe it. If I walk with God, really, can I be walking in this life with less fear? Maybe not completely, but not paralyze me, right? I, it's like, okay, fear, you can come along with me and then you can let me know where is a potential danger. So you do your work, but you are not going to be so like a Goliath that I feel like I'm always just have to be like trembling, or there were a moment of David, but like I kind of wanted to have a better relationship with fear. Like
Yeah.
I want fear to be one of my child. And then like, oh, what, honey, Zoe, Zachary, I got this. You can come with me, but I handle this.
Yeah.
Really, really, really was hoping that I could live that life. And then there's always this part of me, even though I've been on this journey, I thought it's not real. Maybe it's only real after I'm done with this life on earth. And I can say at this point of my journey, oh gosh, guys, it is real.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, guys, it is possible. I would say if you met me 2 years ago, I would say, even though I said, I want to say from a faith point of view, yes, God said that. It is right. I want to say that. But I have to say, I didn't believe it fully yet because I see it. I didn't taste it. It feels like always it's bigger than. But now I can say what I want them to walk away with is a very possibility. And then somebody who tasted it and journey with it and saying it, hey guys, what God said was real. I didn't think it was possible, but my life, I can say it's possible. I just want to borrow a little bit of my embodied taste of it. I think that's what
That is so beautiful. And how, I mean, 2 years is not a long time if you think about it. So amazing to think on this journey you're sharing that you're at this point where you can finally say, I'm living it, I'm experiencing it. And now I want to pass this on to others because it's the life Jesus said. I want you to have life to the full without the ways that the enemy, tries to steal our joy and keep us in fear, and that we are never fully arrived, but that we can have a little bit of relief from that in this life. It's a message of hope for sure. So thank you. I mean, I just, again, personally, when I'm with you and hear you share, I feel peace. What is it? You guys say, amplify my joy, amplify my peace to be around you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. I think we really wanted this podcast to be a taste. Come and see, come and hear more about Immanuel Journaling from Sungshim. I think people will really benefit. So if you live locally in LA, come out on April 21st. It'll be at our Isaac office in Pasadena, and we are hosting 2 workshops with Sungshim and Young, and it should be a really great time. So I just want to wrap up to say thank you for listening to When Women Preach. We have more than 6,000 downloads and have a YouTube video channel at Isaac Fellowship. If you like this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel and like us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to When Women Preach. If you like this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel and like us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much.